Welcome back to the Old Rope Salvage Workshop. It is Monday morning, end of January, and we are back here this week to do some powder coating.
We are Lisa and Tim, and this channel is the story of us attempting to build the world's greatest adventure mobile on the world's smallest budget. Join us in the Old Rope Salvage Workshop.
It's going to make fascinating viewing.
As we continue our mission to turn our old 1975 Bedford Firetruck into the off-grid home on wheels of our dreams. We are currently chin deep in the process of restoring the base vehicle, experimenting, inventing, and kind of making it up as we go along. In our last video, we finished building the electrics for our homemade powder coating gun. And we trialled our DIY setup with some safe black and cream colours. And this week, emboldened by our success, we are going freestyle with chrome and gold. Will it work or will it not work?
Ooh.
Well, as usual, there's a load of prep to do first. So let's crack on and find out what happens.
Back in now, and we've got a whole load of bits which we're going to get sandblasted and hopefully powder coated over the next week or so. So in this video we're hoping that we'll have all this done by the end of the video. Since our last video, Tim's done a little bit more of the powder coating, including these lovely headlamp buckets which are looking really good in the black, and we've got everything now set out into the piles of the colours that we want to do. So we've got this really exciting pile here that's going to be gold. We've got translucent gold coming, so it's going to be a little bit experimenting with some of the effects. So we selected this, for example, which goes on the dash. It's the instrument cluster, and that's going to be some really cool gold effects, and things like the grab handles as you get in, and what I think is something called a PTO lever. It doesn't actually do anything or work, but Tim really likes it.
Power takeoff.
Tim just shouted power takeoff, so there you go. I actually call it the police turnover because when Tim was a kid he thought PTO meant police turn over. Did anyone else ever think that? Was it just him? We have the black pile over here, which is something that we can get on with pretty much straight away because we have the black powder paint. This is the, well, it's where the step up goes into the cab. It's obviously the bracket for that. So that's going to be black, along with a few other of these little bits and pieces here. And then we also have a pile here which is going to be silver, really excitingly, including these trims that go around the doors on the interior, so they're going to look really pretty. Also, these are part of the headlamps and the pedals and things, so that's all going to be the silver pile. And then really excitingly, I think we've got the brown stroke bronze pile over here. So a few bits and pieces we've selected for that, including these parts of the steering column, what looks really alarmingly like a really small medieval chastity belt, but which I've been informed is the water bottle holder. And then a couple of other bits that are just left over which aren't going to be powder coated. So Tim has actually already painted the horn here. We did have two horns. One of them doesn't work.
I was a little bit worried that it might melt inside, so let's just paint it. But yeah, it wasn't until I cleaned this one up that I thought I'd check it out. Yeah, it don't work.
Well, at least you hadn't painted it before you did it. And then we do have a couple of things that are actually left on the bits section which don't actually fit inside the oven.
Things like that. It's what holds the side mirrors on, and I would love to have powder coated that.
You want that in silver, don't you?
Yeah,
so
but it won't quite fit in the oven.
it might if we kind of adapt the oven slightly and take the hinges off, so we might have
Yeah.
to do a bit of problem solving.
Yeah, and these little bits are part of the throttle linkage. Again, too long to fit in the oven, so maybe we need another oven. These are sort of like the medium-sized parts, and the idea of if we can clean some of these up, we can actually start reassembling them back into the truck, which you'll show in a minute. We're actually starting to put things back in again. And the other bit, before we actually bolt them in, is we need some nice clean bolts, and that's another thing I'm going to be working on a little bit, is to try and do some zinc plating, because we got a whole part of a load of bits which aren't really suitable for powder coating. And the way we're going at the moment, anything that doesn't move gets powder coated.
And then that really just leaves all the big bits, which we've got 10 big bits, the wings, the headlamp panels and the doors, which I think I've mentioned before.
It would be nice if I could get them into sandblasted and straight into the epoxy primer. I can then do any of the bodywork that needs doing on them. But we need like, and it's not just like the daytime temperatures, it's so cold at night that when I painted that one, it kind of almost dried, and it takes a while to dry.
I'm not too worried really, because I think once it gets to spring and we're able to do them, I think we can really do them quite quickly, because we've got all the systems set up in place now to do them. So I think getting the bits, all these boring kind of bitty bits done, and getting these all looking shiny and delicious and new is going to be very satisfying.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, we should be able to do most of this in like a week.
Trying to remember the order that it came apart, so we can kind of put it back together again in roughly the same order. So all of our insulation went in, and I've finished that up, and it's gone right up into the front panel. And before I kind of get too much stuff in there, as well as the aluminium sort of kill mat stuff here that we put down, I put some more of the foam stuff, our heat insulation, which has gone all the way along the top bit from about there upwards. So that's all kind of sealed in, and it'll be nice and keep the frost and the condensation down a little bit. Then there's a big cross brace that was painted in the summer. That's gone back in. This is just here temporary. This is kind of just to sort of work out what bits we've got to make to do the interior. So I might use this old bit as a pattern. And then the other bit is I managed to get, after we'd cleaned up all the wiring and all the wiring harness, the main truck bit, that's all been put back in again as well. So I'm just connecting all that up with some of the new brackets for the fuse box that we powder coated. So yeah, it's slowly going back into place. So yeah, the more bits we kind of clean up and paint and powder coat, the more bits we can start bolting back in. But it's kind of weird just putting a few bits and pieces back in it like this, and it's sort of, yeah, it's going back together again. It's kind of cool. I want to get some carpet in there now. Finish that headline in. Yeah.
Right, so that's the cab, and that's where we are up to. So I guess we better get cracking.
Yep, let's, where do I start? I've got so many bits. Right, let's get going. bit of sand hit me. Oh, well, we're getting through all the bits. Sorry about that, it's a bit loud around here. We're getting through all the bits. We're going to sandblast the bulk of them first and then powder coat it all together. So as each piece gets done, it gets put in a polythene bag, just wrapped up. Try and hold a bit of the rust, flash rust in, and we'll go over those just with a quick blow over just before we're ready to sandblast each one. But we're getting through all the bits. Some are easier than others, but yep, pile's getting smaller. Oh, that looks slow work. Yeah, it's starting to get dark now, so I'll tell her. You right there, my love? It's starting to get dark. Oh. It's like a beach in here.
It's great, it's a sand dune. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a bit dusty in here.
I'm dying.
You got condensation in the inside of your goggles. Do you want a cup of tea?
Oh, it's a glamorous job.
Well, you've been in there a while. I hope you haven't been slobbering inside my mask.
We ordered, or Tim ordered, several different colours of powder coating, as we explained earlier.
I should say we had some black and we had some cream. Now I originally ordered the cream in gloss, but it came in matte. Yeah. So I then ordered 6 more things. I ordered some zinc primer to go for some of the steel parts that are going to get a bit more weather, which I thought would be a really good idea. We ordered some chrome. We ordered another silver as well as a base coat. I ordered some brown in matte that would match the truck, and some gold candy. So 6 items, and 3 of them turned up wrong. We might describe later exactly what the items are, but out of 6 items, 3 of them were right and 3 of them were wrong. The brown came in gloss. The people who sold it insist that they don't even sell gloss. They do, but they insist they don't. So the gold wasn't a gold. It's just a coloured lacquer rather than a candy metal gold. And the zinc primer came as matte black.
So, you know, best laid plans and all that. This is what we're up against. You kind of organise everything yourself to the best of your ability, get your plans laid out, and then you get, like, things go wrong, the wrong things turn up, and you're kind of set back by several days because of it.
Yep.
So if this video is slightly late coming out, it's because we really, really want to get all the stuff in it. So we might have to wait a few more days for that.
Today we'd hoped to get on a selection of different colours so that we can see what they all look like and see where we go from there. But we've just ended up with nothing. We can't say, yeah, we're going to do what we can. But we've got, basically I've had to reorder 2 of the items from somewhere else and forget one of them and see if we get a refund on these things or not, or who knows.
So it's Saturday now, we're in here. We actually had our COVID boosters yesterday, so we're feeling a bit sorry for ourselves anyway. So we're just having a fairly easy day today, gonna do what we can, and then sort of take it from early next week, hopefully. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Well, hopefully we'll get the chrome on today, because I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to that,
Yeah.
to see how it is.
Right, so what have we got? Because
Well-
at the moment we're kind of wrangling between what's going to be gold and what's going to be chrome.
Yeah, we always had
Because
these
we
big...
can't decide because we like it all, so we want all of it. It's just where.
We got these big piles of bags of bits that we'd
Bags of bits.
sandblasted and kind of decided what colours, and now we're kind of having to re-choose colours because we don't have colours.
Well, the chrome is really exciting, and the chrome is one of the things that did turn up and was correct. So
And we're going to test it to see if it's how good it is, really, how shiny, and just see how good it is, really.
because you can't do actual chrome, so you
No.
have to do pretend chrome.
No, and I'm not expecting this to be a replacement for chrome or any kind of like plating, like the nickel plating and stuff. But we'll see how good it is. Also, whether it's a base for the gold transparent. I don't know. When we say chrome, we're painting them silver. That's what we're doing. What else we got? Oh, I do have to spray. I want to do one brown piece so that I can take a photograph and prove to the people who supplied it that it's not matte.
That they do, in fact, sell gloss.
Yeah. Of course, it might turn out matte, and then I'm going to look like an idiot.
Well, let's hope so.
Let's see.
Fly away with me.
It's going to make fascinating viewing.
Well, I probably will cut like 99.9% of it out. Or put it in like a power montage, which makes it look like we get stuff done really quickly. Basically, something that makes you feel like that's what life should be like, which leaves you constantly disappointed that it's not.
My life is like that.
Well, it's not quite a power montage, but probably best to speed us up a little bit here. Fair to say, what with all the sandblasting, degreasing and making little bespoke wire hangers for all the pieces, prep work really is the thing which takes all the time. Most of our days are spent on these mundane tasks, so aren't you glad to know we're sparing you most of the details?
Oh. Oh yeah, maybe that's better. Put it on that one. Yeah, that would be fine. Okay. Yeah, that on there.
You see what I have to
No,
do?
that I was.
Don't put the hook on that way. Oh no, maybe you do put the hook on that. Oh yeah, that'll be alright.
When I said not that one, I meant that hole. It was in that hole.
Oh.
But I think it's probably better off sticking it right at the top where you had it. So. But that end. That's cool. So it sits in the gap then, look. It sits in the middle bit. Right, let's get going. Right, oven's on. So what we're doing is putting the parts in the oven first, as it's heating up until it gets up to its temperature. This, I think they call it outgassing. It's really important if you're doing cast iron parts and aluminium parts. Not so necessary on some steel items like this, but I thought it'd be good practice, especially if there's any chance of any grease left in them or anything like that. It's your last chance to kind of bake it off. So, and I thought it's kind of good practice to do it. If I do it with every part, then I won't forget to do it on the bits that are necessary. Like say aluminium, they always tend to do it, and cast iron, definitely you do this. So what I'm doing, I'm putting them in the oven, just leaving them in there for a little while to get up to temperature, and then we'll take them out and start powder coating them. Also, gives a chance for the place to warm up a little bit as well, having hot parts around the place. Ooh, toasty. Go for some silver on a headlamp bucket. Should I put one headlamp bucket and one grab handle in? Do two at once.
were pretty excited to try out this silver powder, which we hoped would be a good alternative to chrome. Due to the chemicals involved, it's slightly illegal to DIY chrome plate, and this method, as well as being simple, as no primer or lacquer is needed with this particular colour, is also safe. So, fingers crossed while we wait for the results.
Right. Wait for them to build up to temperature. 200 degrees for 10 minutes. How silver. How silver. Join us again when we shall be finding out the extent of the shine on our parts. Only time will tell. Pot noodle. Yes, I don't mind if I do.
Ooh.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's quite shiny.
Holy moly.
Oh, this is lovely and toasty. I'm just going to live here.
I mean, after the disappointment of the brown, that's pretty good, no?
That's really beautiful.
We're getting through the parts, all hidden underneath here, but we'll reveal those later. And today we're back because we have finally received some more gold. Now, our first gold, well, it looks pretty fancy, but it's not what we're after. It's only fancy because what's underneath it is really good. Basically, it was just a coloured yellowy lacquer. So we're getting another gold, and we're going to try that out right now. And I've even got 3 different things prepared for it, because we'll wait for the compressor to do its thing. Okay, so the gold, we don't know if it's going to be a little bit translucent, and so what I've done is pre-prepared 3 different base colours for it to go over. I've got a silvery, shiny colour. This is our zinc primer. It's really, really nice. It's got like a kind of gentle, soft sheen on it. And the final one we're going to put it over is our matte brown. So yeah, we're going to put the gold over these. The gold also needs a lacquer coat over it, so we got. It's all experimenting because putting layers on powder coat, more layers gets more difficult because of the electric charge and stuff. So we'll see what we can do with it.
Cool. I'm excited.
Are you?
Yeah.
I don't think anything can live up to that chrome though, but yeah.
Put the oven on.
It is on.
So we tried our fancy new gold over a silver base and over a base of grey primer as well. The pieces were then baked off in the gold inside the oven before a fine spray of lacquer was added to hopefully give the shine we were hoping for. Oh, and just for fun, we gave the matte brown spanner the gold treatment as well, because, well, who doesn't want a gold spanner?
Don't like it. Ah, right, so following on from yesterday, we took our 3 pieces and practiced and tried the gold out. Now, our gold, I think, has to go over a base of something, primer or silver, or brown, and also has to be lacquered over. And we thought the colour of the base might be important because it could be a slightly translucent colour, like see-through. What we found is not a huge amount of difference. That was over silver, that was over a grey zinc primer, and this was over a brown spanner, a matte brown spanner. And they all have a slightly different colour to them. We think if we put more gold on, that will probably negate that colour change, but weirdly, I think my favourite is the over the grey primer. Over the silver is the easiest because if you miss a bit, it doesn't show so much. But the colour is a bit better over the. Actually, it depends on the light you put it in. Sometimes I prefer the other colour. Yeah.
You have to have a really good eye to really spot the difference.
Basically, we decided it doesn't really make a difference. If it was going to be a part that was going to be really difficult to do, maybe going over silver would be better. But quite a few of our parts would be really good to put over a zinc primer because it's better protection for them.
Weirdly, I actually like the results of the very fancy spanner now. I think it's kind of got a slightly more orangey gold look to it over the brown, but
that's good as well. Yeah, it's a slightly different colour. But one of the problems we did have, I say it's a problem, is that the lacquer going over has kind of not really. Well, we thought we put plenty on, but it's kind of left not a super smooth finish. I thought it would go all glossy and glassy. Like
epoxy or something.
Yeah, but it's. I don't know if it's the flake that's sticking up, and we've put enough lacquer on. But so what we're going to try to do today is, because we think we're going to do the dashboard gold. Why not? If we don't like it, we can always paint over it.
Who doesn't want a gold dashboard?
We got these. They were going to be a different colour, but we're going to do these gold.
Just for a laugh.
I'm not sure if I actually like the idea of doing them gold, but I think what the idea is, we're going to see how much lacquer we can get onto them, and to see if we can get them nice and smooth. If we can't, then maybe we'll not do this gold. But.
So that's literally what we're finishing up with today, is just these things. And are we doing
our last bits of shiny silver chrome? We're doing the window frames. We've left them behind because we didn't know, until we did the gold, we didn't know with a couple of the items whether they were going to be. But we're so impressed with the silvery chrome that we're going to do them in that.
So I think we are definitely going to kind of keep the powder coat colours predominantly in the chrome and the black, with kind of accents of gold.
Yeah, and we're still looking for a matte or satin brown that will match the truck quite nicely.
So let's crack on. We'll show all of this at the end.
Yep.
So stick with us and you can see everything that we've done at the end of the video.
You win the prize for this year's best spanner.
We sprayed the window trims in the chrome, using the primer on the underside first to save the precious silver powder, before moving on to the gold, which took more time due to the stages of application involved. First the primer, then the gold, and finally the lacquer, which we decided to apply lavishly in several layers. It took a whole day to finish, which is really no time at all in the grand scheme of things. And well, we think the results have really been worth it.
Right, well, we started powder coating on the video before this one, all our setups and everything, and the gun and everything we were doing. I suppose this one's been about trying it out. What do you think? How's it gone?
Yeah, we're a bit late putting out the video because we wanted to make sure that we kind of had done most of it, and it took a while to get all the powders sent, and in fact we have one pile that's looking a little bit sad and tragic, and that was the brown stroke bronze pile, because as we said in the video, we got sent the wrong brown. It was a gloss brown rather than the matte brown.
This has been a really cool experience.
Yeah.
The results that you can get are incredible and really quite fast. We've got 28 pieces on the table that we've powder coated, and we haven't had a single one that has come out where we've done something and it's come out bad and I feel like we need to re-strip it off or anything. Not one piece. We've got a few colour variations and we've learnt a few things. On some of the parts, the preparation of the part is quite important. The powder coating, unless you're using a matte or a sort of a textured powder, will show up any marks you have. So it's worth, on some bits, like if you've got some pitting, it's worth like sanding them down first and getting them a nice finish in the metal. Unlike paint where you can put body filler and stuff, you can't do that on this stuff. Yeah. And on later parts where we did some of the black, we were using the zinc primer underneath quite a few of them. When we got the zinc primer, we were kind of protecting them for any corrosion, and that did seem to help a little bit. Some of these black parts are just incredible. So yeah, we've learnt quite a bit. How the guns worked. Well, from how we originally built it all, I haven't made, minuscule tweaks. Now, the gun could be better, and I think if I was to make it again, I could make a few modifications. One of the things having the hopper on the top is it seems to trap a little bit of powder in the tube part of it, but no problem. All I do is tip it up and pour it into the lid, and it's good to go. So it works great. It could be better. The electrics have managed to last.
I was getting a little bit worried about that yesterday.
A weird thing with the electrics is that they were designed to have between 3.7 and 4.2 volts to go into the initial transformer part of it, which would give us our 15,000 volts, then goes on to 100,000. I've actually found a sweet spot of it by putting like 3.2 volts, and it's like, that seems to be where it works nice, which is far less than it should have, but it works good.
So the colours then, forgetting the brown.
Well, I'd say anyone in America, you've got it easy, you've got it really lucky.
Yeah.
You can go down to, I don't know what it is, Eastwood or what, there's another place, and buy a powder coat gun relatively cheaply. The thing that actually we thought wouldn't be a problem has become the problem, and that has been our powder supply. We seem to have a lack in the UK of any good powder coat suppliers. Amazon don't sell it, so we're left with eBay. That's all it is.
Leftovers.
All of the bigger people represented on eBay, every single one of them that we tried, there's 3 that look like larger companies, every order they've sent has been wrong. The only success we found is in the smaller kind of businesses that are not selling so many powders. Our chrome is fantastic. I think it comes from, I think they're called Bargain Brothers on eBay, and that's the product's fantastic. So
I think this is the one that we were most excited by, weren't we?
yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. And that's why I kind of envy the Americans being able to get those prismatics and their candy colours. We've been learning a bit more lacquer than we thought we needed, but
yeah, it's a kind of,
fantastic.
it looks really good with lots of lacquer on it, although the advice was to use the lacquer sparingly. We found that actually putting several layers on hot to build it up just gives it that, it almost looks like it's encased in resin now, which just looks really cool.
It probably loses a little bit of its gold sparkleness, but it makes up for it in the lacquer gloss on it, which worked on these items. On some other items, maybe you don't need it as much.
And I just love this is the for the dash where the gauges go and everything, and we've got, when we put it in, obviously we'll show the effects, because we've actually put the chrome around the dials, so it's like, oh, it's gonna be so nice. And on the other side we'll probably do some gold sign writing and that, so it's starting to kind of come together a little bit. And the black just looks really classy. And
we were after some kind of a matte brown, so that it would have a sort of a difference to the gloss on the truck for many of the other parts, like I think things like the door hinges and some brackets and a lot of parts. Basically we wanted to be powder coated, but felt the matte would be better. So I'm still on the lookout. I'll find some eventually.
We'll get back to that. So I think, to sum up, I think it's kind of, for us, it's been worth taking the time to build the infrastructure for this, so we could do this in the workshop by ourselves, because now that we're actually onto it doing it, all the stuff set up, it's just so fast, so easy, so satisfying, and so inexpensive.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you back here again very soon. Consider subscribing, maybe, if you haven't already. We love that. It would really help us out. That would really help us
out. If you can't be bothered subscribing, maybe just give us a thumbs up. Yeah.
And again, like the comments. Last time we asked if you want to leave a comment. That's brilliant. And there were more of them, and it's really cool. It's
and
really
we
nice
do
to hear.
really love hearing from you and reading your comments. So please do leave a comment. Don't be shy.
Yeah. Right, so we'll get a kettle on, and we'll see you back here again soon.
Yeah. Take care. Bye bye.
See you later.
Won't you come tearing through my life like a tornado, coming on hotter than a